reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network.
You're logging into your favorite game, grinding out some gear. A couple of points added to your stats, and you have a virtual beer. Max level is pretty cool, but I'll remind you here, my friend. These games are not about the goal, it's about the journey and not the end.
You're listening to MMO Reporter, brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter. And by Doghouse Systems. Choose your weapon with Doghouse Systems.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of MMO Reporter. This is episode 235. I'm Chris, and I'm joined by the ever so bountiful in his beautiful metaphors, Mr. at MMO Bell. Hello, Bell.
Chris, that metaphor was a silken smooth ship sailing over the ocean.
Nicely done. Nicely done. What a bounty of beautiful metaphors.
Yeah. Beautiful. It doesn't make any sense, but at least it's beautiful.
No,
and that's the most important thing.
You know how things work around here.
Exactly. Depth, we don't need any of that crap. As long as it looks good on the surface. Paint that turd, baby. Paint that turd.
Exactly. And
there's your beautiful metaphor.
Boy, oh boy, do we have to worry about turds around here. Steve guy, darn it. Oh. Anyways, so let's get into what we have been doing in game. Bill, why don't you start?
Well, this is going to be an easy one for me. I've played Little Guild Wars 2, and that's pretty much it. I'm still in gear up mode as far as Heart of Thorns is concerned, and that's basically all I've done. I'm finishing off a couple of little quests here and there. I started trying to craft Maudry. Do you know Maudry?
No.
Okay, Maudry is a back piece that you can craft. It's an ascended back piece that you make. It was introduced about a year ago with one of the Living Story editions.
Okay.
And it's this tour de force of things to craft. There's just a zillion steps. It really wants you to do the whole living story. Like more than half of all the stuff you need to craft it are earned by completing the living story.
Right.
But there's still tons more. So I think 80% to maybe 90% of the way crafting this thing, but I'm stuck because I need to run some fractals. And I have never run a fractal in my entire Guild Wars 2 experience.
Well, I can help you there. I've run one.
You've run. Oh, well, there you go. So we're 2/5 of the way. Well, and see, this is the thing. I don't like our guild is obviously completely dead in the water, and that's all I've really got for a guild in Guild Wars 2. I've sort of been hunting around for another one. So anybody's looking for another guild. Oh, give me a friggin' break.
You and Harry always abandoning me.
Even Celeste went and found another guild. I am between Asani and I, we're the only people who log in under TCA rep.
Not true. I log in under TCA rep.
Do you?
I do.
Really?
I do.
Okay.
When I log in, I'm under TCA rep.
Well, we're still a guild of 3, and that can't even run a dungeon. So we need some more. We need some more people for that. But the looking for group tool is really next to useless for that because most of the fractals are not advertised very often. I think people usually like to run their own personal speedrun groups for fractals. And even if they do advertise a group, they're usually not the most polite invites, as in like no noobs, Zerk only, blah, 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 know your stuff or don't even bother. And it's it's a very unfriendly thing. I'm hoping that's going to change with Heart of Thorns when fractals become the more common run than dungeons. We can actually talk about that a little bit. I didn't put that in the news, but that might actually be a decent little. Actually, you know what? Let's talk about it in the news. We're going to make it. This is editing on the fly, people. I'm adding to the show notes as we're recording. This is the dictionary definition of effort. We're doing it live. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a bit. So yeah, I've been doing that. The only other thing that I've been doing this week, and I'm going to have to say this, and I'm going to apologize in advance to our American neighbors, but go Blue Jays!
Woot!
Flippin' awesome.
Yes.
You watched that, I assume?
I watched highlights of that.
Yeah. My work forced us to put it up. It didn't take a whole lot of convincing, let's be real. But we put it up on our big screens in our kind of office there. Mm-hmm. And I didn't get a chance to watch anything, but when we hit the home run, or when Batista hit the home run to put them ahead in game 5, the entire building exploded. And this is a building of 300 office workers roughly. So it's a pretty decent size. And the roof was coming off. That's how many people were ducked out from work and watching this game in the middle of the day. So that was exciting. And this is a big deal. Canada doesn't get excited about its baseball very often, but when it does, it gets very exciting.
I believe the last time was 93.
1993. The interesting factoid, the second longest playoff drought in all of professional sports.
Really?
Next to the Buffalo Bills. Sorry, Buffalo.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh, that's funny.
So, anyways, that was my week. How about you, Chris? What did you do? Hopefully a little bit more than Guild Wars 2.
I did a little bit of living story Guild Wars 2 stuff. I logged in representing TCA, which is what I do. It's, my thing.
Yep.
And just did a little bit of living story stuff, not very, very far at all, and a little bit of map completion. I was doing map completion, got bored, went over to living story stuff. I still haven't completed all the living story up until the most recent stuff. So yeah.
If it makes you feel any better, I only finished my all the living story up to the most recent season on one character, with a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
It was just before, or pardon me, no, it was just after I got back from my holiday. So it's not even a week and a half ago. It's like a week ago.
There you go.
So good though. That second season gets just interesting. The story becomes very compelling.
I'm working on it.
It's not your typical Mary Sue good guy versus bad guy kind of thing. The characters actually get just not dark, but just a little bit dark enough to kind of make you really be interested in what's going on. It's very good. Good. Highly recommended.
Cool. Well, speaking of guilds, in WildStar, we have a new guild put together by a listener. Misfit has put together MMO Reporter Lackeys.
Sweet. Which
will be a guild that I'm a part of, or I will be a part of once I get the invites. And then for some friends, I've got an alt or two that is in a guild called the Orin Escort Service. And it's funny because my friend has said that he has never received so many ERP whispers as he has on this particular character representing this particular guild.
Oh, I remember him talking about that actually at PAX.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the best guild name ever.
I know.
I want to be in that guild.
I know. So that's my alt guild. So I was in there. I did a little PvP, but I was having horrible lag issues. Horrible. And game was crashing and this and that and just and it wasn't anything on the game's end. It was just like my end of things. So did a little bit of that. Played a bunch of Elite because I was away last week, right? So I'm talking about a couple weeks here. Played a bunch of Elite Dangerous on Xbox. And actually did more missions of just flying around doing stuff rather than just kind of bombing around than I have ever on PC. I want to come back to PC now and try it with the flight stick and go through with that just to see if I love it as much as I'm loving it on Xbox. But there's just something about being able to lay down on my couch with the big, huge TV and play it. And the controls are not horrible. Once you get... The problem is it's a lot of combinations to open things up. Like it's... To get to one menu, it's B and left analog... Not analog stick. The freaking old style controls, not the analog stick. D-pad. Left on the D-pad, right? I hold those two things. That brings up the left menu in my ship, right? And so stuff like that, I have to do lots of combinations of keys, but there's nothing left. The only thing that I don't like is that there's no true roll. The roll is like a bank and roll. It's like I'm glued around a big tube and I'm kind of going around like that rather than just going straight forward and rolling, if that makes sense. And that's the left, and then I've got up and down, and then the right one is thrusters, left and right and up and down. And so that's really my only huge thing. And I haven't been brave enough to run with flight assist off. Maybe that would make it a true roll, but I'm scared of dying constantly. It
feels a little... Me too. Like it, for some reason, death just feels a little more serious in Elite compared to almost any other games that I play.
Right. I don't want to die, Bill. I don't want to die.
Like it's not too bad. Like there's insurance costs and everything, but I mean, anyone with a modicum of sanity doesn't buy a ship that they can't afford the insurance on, because that would be just insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, even if you know you can cover the insurance, it still feels awful to die.
It does.
I think it's because most deaths are preventable.
And I've gotten
it's such a big universe. It would take the worst luck ever to get completely trapped and cornered by a bunch of griefers and killed. So like there's very few situations that you don't at least put yourself into danger and that where you could die. So maybe that's why it feels a little bit worse, because it's almost always your fault.
Exactly. And it was all combat deaths for me.
Oh, obviously. You never ran into a space station even once.
No, I didn't. No. But I went in and fought in some low intensity combat zones, and even those were just too much in my starter ship. But it was fun. Tons and tons. And I even had Selenia sitting there next to me doing sort of her own thing, doing stuff on her iPad, and it was kind of interesting to do that. But by far, what took up the majority of my time is Neverwinter on Xbox One.
Yeah.
Most of my gaming in the last couple of weeks has not been done at my main computer. It's either been WildStar on my laptop upstairs or my Xbox with Elite and Neverwinter. And I'm leveling my Oathbound Paladin. I finally got into the first of the campaigns. And I'm still really early in it, so I can't say that I love campaigns. But I'm so early in it that I don't feel like I can make adequate descriptions of what a campaign is like. I'm still on the first or second step of a 30-step process, but it's taken me a whole long time to even just do those first couple of steps, like a long time. So it's a really big time sink. Oathbound Paladin is just like easy mode in Neverwinter, and not like Neverwinter is super hard to begin with, as long as you've got some modicum of skill as you're leveling through. But holy cow! And I'm specking tank, but still everything, like I can one shot stuff. I go in and I've got an AoE, and it's like, okay, here I am, big tank. I run in, shield smash as I run in, pop my AoE. Oh look, every single little mob around me is dead. And most of the big ones, boom, 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 and they're dead too. So Oathbound Paladin, I approve wholeheartedly. And just the whole experience, like Neverwinter, I really, and I'm gonna get in so much trouble from the developers there probably. I'm trying to think. Perfect World, thank you. Cryptic. That's what I was looking for. But I don't feel the same depth with Neverwinter as I do with other games, and maybe I'm fully willing to admit that that's my own approach to the game that is doing that, but it really, to me, the way I'm playing it right now is kind of MMO light, as far as the role-playing aspect of it.
Yeah.
And so I'm just flying through all the quests and killing all the mobs and grabbing all the loots.
Now, do you think that's a function of playing it on the console? Like, do you feel like the console is maybe a little bit less RPG-y than
no, I don't think
playing it on the PC?
No, I don't think the game is any different. It doesn't feel any different than it does. I like playing it on a controller, I gotta say.
Okay. Well, let's put it another way. Do you think you play it differently on the console? Like, even if the game is exactly the same, do you think you maybe approach the game a little different because you've got different expectations from a console?
That very well could be. I have to say, though, I'm definitely feeling the itch to go back to it all the time, which was the big thing with Neverwinter. We've talked about it for years. As long as the game's been out, it's been our game that we play, we love. We think we're going to dive into this one, level characters to max level, because this is so awesome. It's fun. And then 5 minutes after you log out, what were we playing again?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's funny how some games are sticky and some games are really, really not.
It's sticky right now, and I'm in it, and I'm going to get that Oathbound Paladin. I'm level 35, I think, now. And just flying through, right? I really didn't start until PAX. So this is doing pretty good for me for leveling in a game that, you know, I is not... I don't know. I guess I have been spending a lot of time on it.
See,
I was going to say that's not my main game, but really right now it kind of is.
And this is my problem. Like from my system, what I tend to do is I organize all my game icons on my desktop in the order that I am likely to play. So I'm going to read off the order of games here because this is just the relevance here. Guild Wars 2 is my first one. Elite Dangerous is the second one in line. The Old Republic is my third one. And Neverwinter comes in fourth with WildStar fifth. That's the top 5, and then it goes to Ark, Secret World, Star Trek Online, Marvel Heroes, Skyforge, Lotro, Rift, and then World of Warcraft right at the end. Just in case anybody wanted to know what my actual priorities were for MMO gaming, that's basically it for what I've got installed right now. Anyway, but you can see why I never get to Neverwinter, especially when you've been looking at my playlist the last few shows. But it's there. I like it. I want to play it, but it just never makes it into the top 1. So maybe, I don't know, maybe an Xbox is the answer for that. I need reasons to buy an Xbox. Okay, so Chris, you've done a decent job. You've sold me a little bit. Yeah. I would really love to hear from anybody else, any of the listeners out there that also have an Xbox, that are maybe coming from the perspective. Like, my perspective is that I'm mostly a PC snob, but I'm Xbox curious. So anybody out there, give me a tweet at MMO Bill. Tell me why a PC snob would really enjoy an Xbox One, because I'm sniffing around. You know,
here's the thing to think about too. I think MMOs in general right now on consoles are still a niche market like they were many years ago on PC. I don't think there's big of a chunk of the console gaming market as they are of the PC market, even comparatively, right? And so I was thinking about this the other day. I just think that they're just starting to get going, and it's at this point, it would be perfectly, there's enough to do between the PS4 and the Xbox One where you could be a complete console gamer and be getting an incredibly valid experience. Which couldn't have been said 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? Or even a year and a half ago.
It'll be curious to see if there is that renaissance moment of MMOs on the console, like you saw for 3 or 4 years with World of Warcraft and then all the World of Warcraft wannabes.
Yeah.
And see if that happens, at least to a muted effect on the console as well.
Right.
As people start to realize that, oh, hey, persistence, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's really, really cool. And I'm really enjoying my time on the console. And I feel, I don't know, it feels a little bit weird. It's not, I don't know if our audience is very console heavy. I wouldn't think it is. I think our listeners are mostly PC based.
I like to think that's my fault or my credit, I should say, for scaring people away from dirty old consoles. But I'm asking for the opposite here now.
Right. Okay, so let's go on. We want to thank our patrons, all 29 of them. They are fantastic people. Go check us out at patreon.com/MMO Reporter and help us keep the network going. Your help is much appreciated. Thank you very much to all of our patrons. We usually record on Thursday nights, depending on whether or not we can get Mr. Harry Hall. We record at about 8:30 p.m. Pacific time, or if we can get Mr. Hall, we have a 10 p.m. Pacific time recording time. And of course, you can send us a review on iTunes. Just check us out there and leave a review and let us know what you think of the show. So let's move on to the news.
If you only knew how easy it can be to pull the boss from me, more than deeps is all you have to do to make the raid. Then you wouldn't have to say that you pew pew, 'cause I'd already know.
All right. As mentioned earlier, I did do an interview with someone from, and actually, you know what? I don't think I did mention it earlier. Hey, guess what, everybody? I did an interview with someone from Cryptic. I talked to Scott Shikoff, who's the lead designer on Neverwinter, worked his way through at Cryptic, was on Star Trek Online, and he is now the lead designer on Neverwinter, and we talked about the Underdark module. Now, one of the things that I find really cool, and we talked about this in the interview, is the fact that Wizards of the Coast now, the makers the owners of D&D, not DVD, have got this focused and directed direction for all D&D content that's coming out. Mm-hmm. And this Rage of Demons is the new D&D module that's going to be coming out, the new storyline that you can purchase to play for your pen and paper campaigns. And not only are they including the pen and paper stuff, they are also having some storylines written, novels written by R.A. Salvatore, who I was lucky enough to meet at PAX East a few years ago. I didn't really talk to him that much because I was nervous. And I talk about that in the interview. And they also have it in Sword Coast Legends. There's a connection there as well. And in Neverwinter, the new module that's coming out, Underdark, which will be coming out soon, TM, is going to be featuring content from Underdark and all about this Rage, tied into this Rage of Demons storylines, which features none other than Drid Stuarden, your favorite and my favorite drow, because we love them. There's some new content from R.A. Salvatore. He's written the quest line for the game. There's new content. They're calling it replayable content, different experiences for similar content. So you might have different types of mobs and stuff like that are there. Variable rewards based on the quality of the run. So you can go through a run and have different rewards based on how well you did. A new mini hub called Mantle Dareth. And then, of course, Driz. Now, I asked in the interview about that variable rewards, because if you remember, when WildStar launched, they also had variable rewards, and they had lots of people who would get the first boss down, and then it would start taking too long because it was having to complete these certain steps in a certain amount of time, and if you weren't on time, people would drop.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't be able to finish the dungeon. And I asked him about that. Mm-hmm. And what he said was that it's going to be in segments. So even if you don't do great on the first segment, you can still do great on the next segment of that experience and still get those better rewards.
See, that's probably a better way. Well, obviously a better way to do it. That if an entire macro run is ruined as soon as one of the micro pieces gets gets derailed, then of course, yeah, and people are just going to get frustrated and they're going to try again. And the completionist in people, like the people who are really going to charge that content, are going to get frustrated and bored really fast, because there's nothing worse than having to hit reset, start again, and
right.
Yeah, so that's a good sign. Now, is it? Well, I don't know. I always hate it when people say, "Is it just me?" Because I know for a medical fact it's not just me. But is it just me? Is Drizzt being plastered on just about everything these days?
Okay,
like I feel like we're gonna see the Drizzt Big Mac or something like that here one of these days.
You know, and speaking of which, by the way, oh gosh, now I'm blanking on his name. Patrick Rothfuss. Holy cow, great news coming from his camp, huh? His world. Oh, his world. I think it's New Line, who the same people who brought Lord of the Rings together, have got a movie, TV, and game concept for his world that he has signed on to.
Really?
Yes.
That's just interesting.
And he had lots of overtures because the rights reverted back to him a while back, like recently, for it. He had sold it for a TV miniseries and they never made it, reverted back to him. And he had a lot of overtures, but everybody wanted to make a movie from this epic storyline. And so, yeah.
And I agree. I mean, these types of novels don't really sit very well for a movie. Like I think a TV series is more compelling, but even that, I mean, you think about, I mean, Game of Thrones is the obvious example to everybody, but even that, you've got this long running TV series on HBO, no commercial breaks or anything like that. So you get a full hour of episode every time. And they struggle to get even half of what's in those books into the TV series. So it's interesting that they're hitting it from so many different angles here. It's good.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, I think this is the way to do it, to have a coherent, to Marvelize it, for lack of a better term, where it's all going to be the same universe and a shared, you know, all that. That's perfect. Like they should do the same thing. I've been dying ever since I've been watching Game of Thrones. Can they please do Wheel of Time?
Oh, you know,
like a 15-year. Well, no, you know what? They'd probably need about 20 years of seasons to be able to do Wheel of Time.
I don't even know. At least, well, the thing is, I don't think so. I think Wheel of Time would probably require about as much attention as Game of Thrones, even though Game of Thrones is half the books. I feel like the Wheel of Time series is a lot more expanded. Like it's I don't want to say
some editing is what you're saying.
I don't want to say it's filler, but it's a lot. Great series. I really enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, but it's longer than it needed to be.
You know what? I don't read it in order. I jump storylines and then I go back to storylines when things start to come back together, because I don't want to wait a book and a half or 3/4 of a book to get back to what this person's doing.
Yeah.
So, anyways, back to Neverwinter.
Getting off topic here.
Yeah, but that's okay. That was a good off topic. A story by R.A. Salvatore. The main storyline of the campaign of the quests will be written by R.A. Salvatore, which is fantastic to go along with the books that are coming out with this. Which is good. New campaign coming out with this. The new mini hub, which is going to be cool. But I think the big thing is the replayable content with some differentiation each time you run it. It's not exactly the same skirmishes now. You kind of get tired of them. Really, really repeatable. Like it's not. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Really, really repetitive when you do it now.
There we go.
And so yeah. But yeah, I noticed that too. As soon as they started talking about Underdark, I'm like, they're gonna at PAX, with the Acquisitions Inc., I'm like, they're gonna bring in Drizzt. You know they're gonna have Drizzt, right? That was my internal monologue, and guess what? Drizzt was there.
Yeah.
So
he's everywhere.
The problem and the curse of the success of Drizzt is that people want him. Right? He is that character that people want to interact with, because you know it's like having a Dragonlance story without wrestling. Right? It's just not quite the same. Like all the new generation stuff, I read it, but it's not quite the same. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So everybody wants that character to be somehow involved. So it's a total fan service, but I have no doubt, knowing the quality of Ari Salvatore's work, that it will not feel like a token inclusion in the story.
No, it's just curious. Like, I felt like Drizzt really sat and it was just quiet for many years, and then all of a sudden it seems like I can't turn around without seeing a dark elf with 2 scimitars doing something.
Yeah, but Bill, you've played MMOs. You've seen a million variations on the name Drizzt in games.
Mm-hmm.
All the time. Everywhere.
Oh, you mean my best buddy Drazd?
Yeah.
It's just a takeoff on Drizzt? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
All right, so go check it out. Great interview. I think I had a lot of fun talking with Scott about the game and about what's coming up and what it's going to look like. It's coming out on PC soon, TM, and on Xbox following that shortly. Also talked, for those of you that are interested, talked about the changes in leadership and Astral Diamonds and everything that's going on there and their thought behind what was going on there and moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So go check it out. It was fun. Bill, I know that you studied for many, many years to be a Guild Wars 2 economist at university. And I think this next story is right up your alley.
Well, I just want to point out, too, that it was very close and that I was the second choice. But I was perfectly qualified, but you can't compete with an economist named John Smith. That's just... and anyone who's ever taken an economics course will get that. Haha. Anyway, John Smith... chief economist for Guild Wars 2, put a post up on the Guild Wars 2 site earlier today talking about how the economy is going to be changing coming into Heart of Thorns. And it's actually, I loved this because there's a big discussion going on around the economy in Guild Wars 2. And it's really talking about it in like market terms. Like, this isn't talking about the game and just taking and really looking at a high level of what's your gold worth and what's and is gold value going up or down or something like that. Getting into like all the different nuances of the economy and really talking about it as if it's a living, breathing thing that mirrors the real world dollar economy is very, very cool. So just some of the salient points that came from it, it's basically, it's almost a little bit of a warning that there's instability coming to the economy of Heart of Thorns. They're changing the game. They're changing where they want to incentivize people playing. They're adding new game modes. They're adding different syncs. So one way or another, the economy is going to change, and instability is just one of those dirty words in economy. It's not really a dirty word because that's what an economy really is instability followed by periods of stability that then bank on more instability happening. Anyway, I won't go back to the textbook on that, but it's a really cool macro thing. So anyway, getting back to the point. So get ready for some instability. They're going to be changing the rewards for dungeon running. They're going to make that a less lucrative activity, which is just causing a huge amount of discord in the community. There's a lot of people that's what they like to do in Guild Wars 2 is just serial run dungeons. And it's actually a fairly lucrative way to play these days. Mm-hmm. But dungeons they've been a long ignored thing. There's been I don't think there's been a new dungeon added to the circuit to Guild Wars 2 since the game released. So, there's been plenty of vibe that this is a game mode that they're not really fond of. They want to start filtering people towards fractal runs instead of dungeons. The other thing they're changing is they're going to be tweaking the values that you get from salvaging equipment because they're expecting a glut of new materials, different materials and that, and they want to make sure that the supply doesn't outstrip what the demand is going to be and vice versa. So there's going to be some value tweaking there, but ultimately those are two things that are going to be less valuable in the future. He talked about some of the precursor stuff, and that's going to be coming up. That the precursors that in Guild Wars 2 now, it used to be, when I mentioned precursors, I'm talking about legendary weapon precursors, which are basically a kind of a lower version or a lower stat version of the legendary that you then pile on a whole bunch of mystical materials on and turn it into something amazing and legendary. there's going to be new legendaries in Heart of Thorns, and they're not going to be so random in acquisition. You're going to be able to get a legendary just through hard work. It's not going to be pulling a lever on the lottery machine and hoping that you get the drop that you want. You're going to, one way or another, it might take you months and months and months, if not a year, to work towards that legendary, but you're going to be able to basically gate your own progress towards it. So that's a good thing, but that's going to also have a significant effect on the economy, because all those things that people want to work towards to build their legendary, in theory, a bunch of them you're going to be able to buy with just straight gold, which adds a whole new set of demand and supply, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, John Smith posts, if you can find them, are really insightful. And if you have any kind of that mind of a little bit of economics geekery in your game, he does some really neat analysis on the economy of Guild Wars 2 and brings really good analogy, I think, to real world economies. So, okay. That's my breath, Chris. You can jump in now. Or are you still awake?
Sorry, you were talking.
Money up, down, Guild Wars 2.
Yeah.
Click post, leak, good.
I'm looking at the picture that they used for the legendary. and and
shiny.
And no, but the effect that drags behind it. Like, I'm looking at it, and it looks like it's a portal into outer space. It is so well done. It looks like it looks 3D on an image that I know is 2D.
Well, the beauty, if you haven't seen the actual legendary items post, because that was the other one that I was thinking about adding to the show, but didn't. Check out the economy changes one, because that's the most interesting. Also check out Reddit and the forums and that kind of thing, and you can join in the discussion there. I'm not going to come down on a side on whether what's good or bad, because I haven't decided yet, but it's an interesting discussion nonetheless. Now, that said, if you're interested in shinies and cool, there's another post for legendary weapons there, and the new style, like that's the other thing, is there's 16 new legendary weapons coming in with Guild Wars 2 with the expansion, and they're at the effects that they've put on the ones that I've seen so far are awesome. They all have their typical, like, legendary weapons typically have their own kind of aura effects that really set them apart from regular weapons, but they're taking an extra step with some of the legendary weapons in Heart of Thorns, in that the effect actually crawls up the arm of the character. So the arm that's holding the weapon gets that sparkle effect as well.
Yeah, I'm showing it now. That's really cool.
So
if it's a staff, is it both?
The staff one they're adding is actually, they're calling it Nevermore, and it's this kind of oaky staff that's got ravens spewing around all around it. So that's not one of the ones that has the effect that crawls up the arm, but it's got little fluttering ravens all around it, and it's really cool.
Awesome.
There's unfortunately the picture doesn't do it justice, but if you go on YouTube, there's some animations there's some animation videos that do the Raven staff a little more justice. The real cool ones though are the axe, the astral axe thing that I can't remember what they called that. Yeah, and then they have a pistol as well.
I'm showing that right now.
Yeah, it's like the electro-charged pistol, and you can see it makes the arm that's holding it transparent with electricity shooting through it and everything. Yeah. Oh, it just looks cool.
That is very cool. That might be a reason to actually play more Guild Wars 2.
You're going to play a lot of Guild Wars 2 if you want that pistol.
Yeah. Well, not the pistol, the axe.
Yeah, you're going to play you're going to have to get a class that actually uses an axe for one thing.
My Revenant, that's going to be my new main, so.
Well, I think the Revenant is actually being kind of geared towards sword and board.
I'm okay with that. But it's got axe and board. You can axe and board. I like the axe too. With
axes are weird in Guild Wars 2 because they're typically ranged weapons, but they're short ranged weapons. Like, I don't know.
I understand completely. Okay. I was having a great time with, I think it was hammer for ranged, and then sword and axe on my Revenant for close up. Oh, okay. It was doing really well. Having a lot of fun with that.
Cool.
All right. Shall we talk about sponsors? Let's talk about sponsors. We've got our friends over at Audible. Go to audiblepodcast.com/MMO Reporter. We were talking about all sorts of wonderful fantasy series. You can go check them all out on Audible and maybe find your next great read over there. And our friends at Doghouse Systems, go to doghousesystems.com, use the coupon code MMO Reporter, and you'll get a free 120 gig SSD added to your purchase. So that is our wonderful sponsors. Go check them out. I know that Carrie loves her Doghouse system. Ways to die. So many dumb ways to die. Dumb ways to die. So many dumb ways to die. Shaking hand with the Nazgul's rough. Hey, Bill, you know what else is rough? They're not so tough.
Yeah.
Not just shaking hands with an Nazgul, but also having to go to your debt, the holders of your debt, and asking them to cut you a little bit of slack because you don't want the company to fold and you owe too much money. And yeah, Funcom is not having a good time right now. We talked a few weeks ago about them trying to sell the studio and being very transparent in their attempts to try and sell the studio, and they have not been having luck. So they're having a bondholders meeting. This is via Massively, by the way. Our friend Justin Olivetti wrote this story. They're holding a special bondholders meeting on October 26th, which is just coming up, to vote on some proposals, basically giving Funcom a little bit longer to work on their debts. So
this makes me so sad because I don't know. Funcom, A, has been around forever, obviously, and B, I don't like seeing game companies go under. And the thing is, it's not going under for the games that I like. Like, it's not. Anarchy Online is still apparently a technically profitable game. Secret World is a profitable game. I mean, they might not be world beaters in generating huge amounts of revenue, but they're holding their own. But they're not making up for the other misses that Funcom has had, unfortunately. So that's, I think, the saddest part, is that the best things that they've done aren't enough to make up for the oopses.
And even there, I mean, there's been some oopses. What was it? Lego. I think the Lego one was the big one that they were hoping for anything, and it's gone already.
Yeah,
like it came out and it was gone. And that's really, really sad. But you know, there's some pretty dedicated followings. I know I've covered Age of Conan a couple of times. And Leonor obviously loves the Secret World, which is probably why Funcom is gonna close down at some point, because hello, Leonor.
Friggin' Leonor.
I know. Stop playing games, dude. But yeah, it's really sad. I hope that Funcom has some luck in making things work for them. They've done, the thing is, with everything that they've done innovative stuff. It's just never been more than a niche game for anything. Right? I remember we reviewed Secret World very favorably. Much more favorably than Harry did. But we, I liked it. I think we had Merrick from Casual Store Tomorrow reviewed it for us. And it was a good game. It is a good game. So that's too bad. All right, Bill, why don't you talk about the next one?
Sure. So we've got a little bit of news. Just if you're looking to get your Overwatch itch scratched, we're starting to see some live streams popping up. We had a couple come up today that we'll have links to in the show notes. But we had streamers Haley Nick and Elohim, both Elohimi.
Aloha?
Elohimi. Elohima. Oh, sorry.
Please stop. Please stop.
Anyway,
now that's stuck in my head.
You're welcome. I thought you'd like that. At least it's recognizable. We'll have links to those streams. It looks fun. First-person shooter, kind of in the same style realm in my mind as Team Fortress, but
I totally
obviously
felt that too.
Going for their own feel to it, but that's that's the style. Like, if you like Team Fortress, this is apparently you need to have a look at what's going on in Overwatch.
But
so
there's also some MOBA-ish elements to it as well.
Yeah, but they're putting MOBA-ish elements into everything. I feel like anytime I look somewhere and there's a map with a lane, I feel like that's like MOBA being band-aided onto the
It's
product.
not in game mechanics so much as character design and character mechanics rather than the gameplay itself.
I suppose.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyways, so go check it out. If you're interested in Overwatch, we'll have a link in the show notes to those streams. Now, we'll talk about the news about this first, then we'll give a little bit of a warning and let people leave if they want to. On Star Citizen, they have released a Q&A for their star map, talking about the way in which you will be navigating your way around this universe. So if you want to go check that out, you can there. They also have a video about the star map that you can check out, which also shows off what it'll look like. And I have to say, this looks kind of freaking good. Like really, really pretty. And you know I am a sucker for things that look pretty.
Yeah, like
game.
We try to have a deep discussion about game economics, and all you can see is the shiny axe. Yes, I know where you're coming from.
Yeah, I knew you wouldn't understand. So there's all sorts of information there. Now, anything to say about the news part of this before I get on to the other part of this?
Yeah, it's nice to see a piece finished.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And there was a whole bunch of news coming out.
Approaching finished, I should say.
We didn't talk about because I just didn't have a chance to go into depth about it enough yet. But there was a bunch of news coming out from Star Citizen. We had some comments on Twitter as well showing that, it's very much not vaporware. They're definitely moving forward on this, and there's some great milestones. So, that being said, spoiler time. And this is not really a spoiler. It's just I'm going to mention something about this video that once I mention it, you will never unhear it. It's like every time that you listen to Tiny Dancer, or every time I listen to Tiny Dancer, it's Hold Me Closer, Tony Danza. Every time. Hold me closer, Tony Danza. Right? So... that's the thing. But here's the thing, and it's a really great video. The information is great, incredibly dry presentation, as you can hear here.
If you select bookmark, the object will be saved in your bookmarks for easy access in the future. You must be logged in to use the bookmark feature. Simply click outside the menu in order.
So it's the presentation, but here's the thing, and it's maybe it's just because it's my whole life is audio and sound and listening and all that sort of stuff. But as I listen, I can't help but hear the crazy amount of mouth sounds that are in this. It's like he was really close, and his mouth was like dry mouth or something, and just like the whole time. So now listen again. And if you don't want to do this, don't listen to it. But it's coming. Here it comes.
In order to close it. There are many known systems in the Star Citizen universe. Use the filters below to view routes, small, medium, large.
Am I crazy, Bill?
Yes, but not for that reason.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Great information in those videos, though. So if you want to go check them out, and I apologize profusely for having mentioned that because you'll never not hear that ever again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now we have to be super, super conscious not to have mouth noises on our podcasts. So thanks for setting the bar.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's some big league chew you got going there,
eh? All right. You go to the next one.
I was going to say, I'll do the next one. Just speaking of slightly dry videos that are actually really interesting if you could possibly stay awake through them, Elite Dangerous put out some of their planet preview videos. So they're talking about some of the procedural generation methods that they're putting into the planets that are going to be eligible for planetary landing in the new expansion. And it's very low level. Like, it's inside baseball in terms of games development. It's inside baseball in terms of geology and physics. There's nothing in this video that's not complicated. I still like that from like, that's one of the reasons I like Elite Dangerous. I like that there's complexity to it and depth, and that this is the kind of stuff that makes it interesting. But this is a tough video to get through. It's about an hour-long stream, and well done. Nice video, but if you're not absolutely enthralled by game development theory or geology theory or extraterrestrial geology theory, you're going to have a bad time. I liked the video, but even after about 20 minutes, I needed a break.
Yeah, it's a little dry again. But if you're dying,
well, there is no atmosphere, so of course it's dry, Chris.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna move along. Apparently, you have a supporter in the chat room. A couple of quick last ones here. Let's talk about the last one first, because I think that's kind of interesting.
Doing it live.
Doing it live. We're effing going live. Hey, Bill. Mm-hmm. I know you are a prodigious livestock breeder.
Oh yeah, sure. No, but let's go with that.
You are all into animal husbandry and the accoutrements that go therewith.
What exactly are you saying about me here?
That you can now make some dinosaurs, make Whoopi with some other dinosaurs, and make little baby dinosaurs.
That, this is actually cool. This is I added this story to the show notes, and this is a neat feature. I like this. So it's playing to the whole open world sandbox thing that we're seeing in a whole bunch of different directions, or pre-release sandbox games. But this is just a cool little thing. Ark was already cool because it had dinosaurs. Now you can make your own flipping dinosaurs. That's you have to admit. Yes, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, well, you can breed them to flip. It's all Darwinism.
All part of the animal husbandry.
You get two flippers and you breed them together, and you're more likely to get a great flipper.
Wow. Is that like trading hockey cards?
No. Not at all, actually.
Okay. Just checking. Okay, so go make some baby dinosaurs in Ark.
Making dinosaurs is hilarious. Apparently,
it is. All right, and last but not least, if you want to jump into World of Warcraft and run some of the what do they call it? Time shift, time warp dungeons, where you go back and do them as if you were that level and you got the difficulty. You got a pretty badass mount for finishing it.
I like that. I mean, you know me. I like to tease you a lot about your
my
passion for mounts. I mean, and you're the one telling me that I've been into animal husbandry for the guy that wants every mount on the planet. But this is a cool mount.
Yeah.
I would fly around in this and be happy.
Yeah. That's pretty damn cool. And now that you can actually fly in Draenor. Yeah.
I would run on the ground on that thing. That's actually looks really cool.
But the wings, they're like sheer too.
I know.
Oh, okay.
It's a good thing.
So Bill,
so we're going to be resubbing WoW, and we're going to be running dungeons.
All right.
And we're going to be doing that, and I won't be running fractals. So
who wants in? Who wants in? We're going to do dungeon runs in WoW. Just send an email to Bill at MMOReporter.com. He'll set it all up. So there you go. That is our show, Bill. If you feel that people might want to get in contact with us to let us know when they want to run their WoW dungeons, how could they get a hold of us?
Or to tell me why I should be getting an Xbox One as a PC snob. So let me know.
Chris has one.
So website, MMOReporter.com. Send us an email at mmo.reporter@gmail.com. You find us over on Facebook, facebook.com/MMOReporter. Tweet at any of us. Tweet at MMO_reporter. For Chris at Harry Hall for Harry Hall, at Leonor for Leonor, or at MMO Bill for yours truly. Again, that's where you send your Xbox reasons. I'm looking for them. I might need it as ammo to convince my wife too. So that's a thing. Give us a call, 616-666-6778. Sing your Xbox recommendations. I'd like to hear that.
Get an Xbox.
Musical reviews.
Get an Xbox One.
No, not from you.
An Xbox
Although
One, an Xbox
I appreciate
One,
your
YouTube,
youtube.com/MMO Reporter Network, patreon.com if you're looking to lend us some support, help us keep the lights on, help keep Chris singing and trying to distract me while I'm doing this because he's just that helpful and friendly. Patreon.com/MMO Reporter, or if you're not into the Patreon style, head over to MMOReporter.com/support for other ways that you can help us keep rolling.
Get an Xbox One.
For science.
Get an Xbox One. All right, Bill, thanks. It was a lot of fun recording this week. I always enjoy this. It's like old school MMO Reporter. We've done that a couple times in the last little while.
Mm-hmm. I feel like we need to get like an 80s hip-hop beat something to go along with these type of shows, just to show that we're like kicking it old school.
I've got a fix for that.
It's a great song. It's not exactly what I was going for, but
are you sure it's not what you were going for?
No,
because I've got
now I've apparently got a project. I'm going to have to get an 80s hip hop.
Oh no, I got you covered. I got you covered. Are you ready though? I don't know if you're ready.
I don't know that I could ever be ready. Yeah, something like that.
There, I gotta cut it before YouTube cuts us off. All right, so that's a show, Bill. Thank you so much for recording.
Thank you for also recording.
I
guess
welcome.
Technically you're the one who's actually recording.
That's true.
I sure hope so, because otherwise another one for the
boom boom. Another one bites the dust.
Another lost episode.
We have not had a full lost episode in probably 200 shows.
Yeah?
Yeah, you're welcome.
We sort of learned our lessons.
We did, totally. All right, thanks everybody for listening. Thanks, Bill, for coming and hanging out. Thanks to our chat room for coming and hanging out as well. We had a few people in there coming in at the last little while. It's always pleasant to be able to interact with them. And thanks to all of you for watching the video, for downloading the podcast, however you may consume the show. We sure appreciate you doing so, and we hope that you do so again next week. But of course, most importantly, we hope to see you in game. Don't
forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at.
Thanks for watching the video, everybody. Don't forget to check out all the other podcasts at MMOReporter.com or by clicking on any of the links here. And please check out our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MMOReporter. Thanks, everyone, and see you in game.